Good evening, Bruchim Abayim, Mazel Tov to all of us here. It says in Sefer Yeshaya, Al Chaymasayich Yerushalayim Ifkadati Shoimrim. The Eibishter has appointed guards to guard the walls of his holy city. Each and every one of us here celebrating Side the Siyum Meseches Kidushin and the beginning of Masechta Baba Kama, beginning the second half of Shas Gemara. In addition to Chassidische Farbringen, L'schus, the Rebbe Rashab Yom Holedes, Chaf Cheshvan, and the Siyum of Sefer Karbonis and the beginning of Sefer Tara. We want to begin, it's tremendous simcha obviously, and Imlei Alas Yerushalayim Al Rosh Simchasi, our minds and hearts, and actually the simcha itself, our sitting together every day and learning and now celebrating, is part of our efforts and our critical part of guarding Am Yisrael and Eretz HaKodesh. We want to invite Rabbi Yossi Sofer to lead us in a Kapitel Tehillim with all our brethren in Eretz HaKodesh in mind. Rabbi Yossi Sofer.
שיר המלס ממעמקים כוסיך אדינוי אדינוי שימו וקולי תהיינה אוזנך קשובס לכל תחנונוי אם אבינס תשמעו אדינוי מי יעמוד כי אם חס לי כל המען תבורי כי ויסי אדינוי כבשו נפשי לבורו יאכלתי נפשי לאדינוי משמרים לבקר שמרים לבקר יחל ישראל אל אדינוי, כי עם אדינוי החסד והרבה ימי עבדוס, והוא יבדס ישראל מכל אבינו סוף.
Thank you. You can be seated. When it says, Ifkadati Shoimrim, Kol Hayom V'Kol Halayla, it's a commitment that each and every one of us has really been tasked with, and a schus for what we accomplish with each and every one of us with our limud HaTorah. To give a shir is a step above, is a commitment not only for the time that you dedicate to the learning, it's much more than that. It's setting your whole schedule around this time, and we're lucky and we're privileged and we're honored to be joined over here with Kama Magidei Shiurim that give a daily shir. We have Rav Fish Laster. We have our host, the Baal Bayis, that set before us the Simcha Legamra Shel Torah, Rav Shlomi Greenwald, and we have Rabbi Oppenheimer, all Magidei Shiurim, the Schos HaRabim Tali B'chem, and we're going to begin with the main portion of the Simcha, the Siyum. We're going to be Mechabed Rav Shlomi Greenwald, a younger man, that's Mechayev Ashirim. Each and every one of us is a beneficiary, whether it's of his shiurim, whether it's shiurim that he inspired, whether it's Irgun Torah that he personally pushes and ensures that our kehillah is in the forefront of spreading limud HaTorah, limud primis HaTorah, limud nigla HaTorah, the Rebbe's Torah. Without further ado, Rav Shlomi Greenwald.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much, everyone who came to be mishtatif in the simcha, in the siyum, and all those who are present here, all those who are watching live. So we want to welcome each and every one of you. I have a lot to say tonight, and Mirz Hashem, Rabbi Oster is here. He's always mechabed us. He has another shir that he has to go to, so I'm going to keep the siyum part short so he can speak. And then Mirz Hashem, after I'll give over what I would like to say. So, at the end of Kiddushin, it speaks about the sugya of Maniach kol ha'umanis, the Mishnah said that Reb Nahira says, Reb Nahira Omer, he says, Maniach ani kol umanis, I set aside all the trades, and I teach my son only Torah. Tanya, we learned in a brayso. Reb Nahira Omer, Reb Nahira says, Maniach ani kol umanis shaba'ilam, ve'eni melamed b'nei la Torah, I set aside all the trades in the world, and I teach my son only Torah. Shekol umanis shaba'ilam, eine emedes loy ella b'mei yaldusei. When it comes to all other trades, serves only in a person in the days of his youth when he has enough strength. Aval Teda Eine Kain, Aval Bimezi Kunusei Harihu Mutal Bedov, but when he gets older, so he lies Kiviyachal in hunger, because he doesn't have the strength to work, so he has nothing what to do. Aval Teda Eine Kain, Tera is not so. A Medes Leila Odom Be'esi Yaldusei, Tera stands by a person when he's young. When he sends Le Achris V'tikva Be'esi Kunusei, he gives a person hope when he's older. And the Gemara says, Be'esi Yaldusu Ma'omer, when it comes to his youth, what does it say? It says, but they wait for Hashem and renew their strength. And when it comes to when they're older, what does it say? They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be a sap of richness. We have now, Baruch Hashem, completed the 10th chapter, Asara Yuchsin, and we concluded now Meseches Kidushin, and Be'ezus Hashem Yisborech, Hadin Allah, we shall come back to you. Hadin Allah Meseches Kidushin, V'seder Noshim, V'hadrach Allah, Alon, Daitan Allah Meseches Kidushin, V'seder Noshim, V'daitach Alon, Le'nistan Shem Yinoch, Meseches Kidushin, V'seder Noshim, V'le'sistan Shem Yinon, Le'ba'alma Hadin, V'le'ba'alma Da'asi, Yiras Mev'rach, V'senu, V'shetei, Seroscham, Nesenu, V'lamazav, V'tiyama, Yimanu, V'lamabu, Chanin, Bar Papa, Rami, Bar Papa, Chanach, Bar Papa, Achio, Bar Papa, Abba, Mari, Bar Papa, Rafram, Bar Papa, Roch, Bar Papa, Sur, Chov, Bar Papa, Adu, Bar Papa, Dora, Bar Papa, Harum, Nalini, Sevris, Finu, Completion, Veni, Chlanu, Nachman, Zedin, 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 Shmachel, Zedin, Shma, Maybe, the Chakmin, Zedin, he be some man, Lavers, Elon, Eshkach, Kudach, Kivam, Chis, and Barton, Sell, Minimum, say no, she's something going to be sure can be some something going to be sure can machine, on a machine, do it, machine, do one, but tell minimum comes over him, minimum comes over, not of him, that's one of the him lost the Shachas, Shemmer at him taking the Shachas Anchidamim, remember yesterday when you have to put Sinu Shimshas and some said the national king, Tazin last, comes son of Machirim. The Simon Lam, Lish Melasses, Climbing School, this Almut, Secho, Beava, Schuskolat, Noim, Amre, Tommy, the Homiamdu, the Zari, Thomas, Tatim P. Zari, Zara, Delam, Sky and Beavis, Allah, Isach, Shachatish Malach, he Seki, be your Mecha. They see the Coach, nice time, Medicine, Minibus, Manager of Covid. Adine, Islam, Yitain, Adine Yavarich, Es Amoy, Va Shalom. Skadal, the Skadash made up of the Alma de Rusigan, Hokusias, Macarim, Karamishik, Vahayek, and Mehan, the Shabagas, Macarim, Domain, H, Menamai, Spotted, which Tabak is Paris and Asif, Salot, Mikushab, they love me cover cost, which does Nakamasa. I mean, Mother Romain, I saw a lot of ultimate cult comedy, some of the young commanders, Kumedas, the Diva, Sarasari, and Shaman, Hinisarach, no Hamid, Senator, the Shrine, Romain, the Shaman, so Romain, I should show them, Israel, we do a main. Mazda. Yeah, people are coming in now.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Maskif and Siyum Laschala. We won't leave us much time between the end of Meseches Kidushin and the beginning of Meseches Bava Kama. We're going to get back to Reb Shlomi. It's a lot. We have a lot to hear and a lot to learn from him. To begin the next Masechta, it's a covet for me to call up our official Aster from the famous Magid Shurim in the Shchuna, Sayin Nigla, Sayin Chassidus, Magid Shirin, Yeshivas Alei Torah, Beis Medrash, Reb official Aster.
Rebbe, not in this Mishnah though. In this Mishnah, it's talking about how a person talks about Torah when he talks to his children. When you talk to your children about learning Torah, so first of all, children that are in a very young age, how do you talk to them about learning Torah? So there's the famous Rambam. The Rambam says that you talk to children, you have to give them incentives, you have to treat them, you have to show them that for something that they accomplish in Limud Torah, they deserve something. So this slowly picks up the value of Torah in their eyes. And that's also something that everyone said about this, that it's something that has to be balanced. If a person gives a child a certain incentive for learning that outweighs the value of what he feels he accomplished, what ends up happening is instead of the incentive bringing out the value of his learning, it actually tells him that the learning is just a small step to get to that incentive, which is the main value. So every incentive has to be with seichel, has to be done smartly. But that's how you deal with little children. Even if you're dealing with a child that's already older, he's a bacher, he's in yeshiva, what is this Mishnah telling you over here? You tell the bacher, tell the child that if you want to have a good life, pashit kipshute, a good life, begashmius, center your life around Torah. If you center your life around Torah, you're going to have a good life, begashmius, parnasa barchava, the Eibusher will give you, shalom bayis, and everything else that comes along with it. B'chlal, a human being that's centered, that he knows what he's doing in this world. He knows that he's coming and going, what he wants from himself. And from that center, everything else comes out. So your life is pulled together. Your life, you have it all together. You know what you want out of yourself. And you could set up your life accordingly. And you have certain things, ambitions that you have. And you can follow your ambitions. You can do things because you have a certain center in your life. For a Yid, you may try to create all kinds of things as a center in your life. All kinds of goals and ambitions that you have. It's not going to work. Because ultimately, the true mitzias of a Yid is the neshama. So whatever else you're going to try to place in the center of your life, sooner or later, what happened is you've been sidetracked. And what's really the center of your being, you exchange it. You place something else as the center of your life. Sooner or later, it's going to catch up with the person. Sooner or later, you find yourself in certain areas that you're famished. You can't pull your life together. A person that puts Torah in the center of his life, you're whole. You're at peace with yourself. You have inner peace. You're a full person. That is what Torah does to a person. That is really the teichen of what this Mishnah is saying here, and this is what the Rebbe speaks about in this Hadron, that the Mishnah talks about the value of learning Torah, what it gives you in Olam Hazeh, and what it gives you in Olam Haba. When you come to the Braise, Rebbe points out, usually the klal always is, a Braise is more Meirich than a Mishnah. Over here, though, the Braise is Makatzer. The Mishnah speaks about the value of learning Torah, Sai in Olam Hazeh, and Sai in Olam Haba. The Braise just talks about the value of learning Torah in Olam Hazeh. That be'ezik knusai, you're going to be able to learn Torah, and you'll have a good life till the last day of your life. Doesn't mention a word about Olam Haba. So the Rebbe says the reason is because the Braise is a later generation. In this Mana Mishnah, when people valued ruchnias, people valued things that are really valuable, so the Mishnah is motivating someone to learn Torah with realizing that Torah will give you a ruchni is the good life. The Braise is telling you, even if you're not on that level, but you should realize that learning Torah will give you a good life, begashmias. Pashat, begashmias, to have a good life. That's what the Mishnah is saying here. In the end of the Siyum there in the letter, the Rebbe connects it to the beginning of the Masechta, and the Rebbe says the Mishnah begins with ha'isha niknes. Ha'isha niknes, ha'isha. Taisus asks the question right in the beginning, why does it say with a hey? Ha'isha. Ha'isha refers to the Yidden and the Eibishter that are compared to Ish v'Isha. The Isha refers to Klal Yisrael. And we know Matan Torah was Yom Chasunasai, the beginning of the marriage of Klal Yisrael through Torah. So the Rebbe says here as well in this Mishnah, the Mishnah is telling you the benefits of learning Torah. First thing the Mishnah says, Isha niknes labayla, Rashi says labayla bekesef. What's kesef? Kesef is kesef. We know what kesef means. You don't have to, the shaila is, or the Gemara says kesef minalam. This is shaila. But what kesef is, we know. Kesef is gashmi, is the good life. The first thing you should know, you want to be connected to the Eibishter, and you're not motivated to have any connection. You're somewhere else. Kesef. You want to have a good Gashmizdige life, place the Eibishter and his Torah in the center of your life. That's the first message the Mishnah tells you. Push it for the Kesef. Then the Mishnah goes on to say, B'shtar. What's shtar? The Gemara says shtar doesn't have to be a shava pruta. Shtar, the husband just writes, Harei Mukadeshesti, doesn't have to be a shava pruta, and she's Mukadeshes. And the Gemara says, Tav l'meisav tandum l'meisav armelo, a person would rather live with a companion, with a spouse, than to live alone. The shtar is the fact that you're not living in this world alone. Not the gashmi is the schar that you get from limud Torah. What you get from learning Torah is meaning in your life, connection in your life. You're not alone. When a person lives in this world and he's constantly chasing after something, whether it's a dollar or something else, he's really a very lonely individual. He's living himself in this world and he doesn't even know what he wants from himself. When you learn Torah, you connect to the Eibishter, so now you know Lama Yardan Hashem Lamata. You lose that loneliness, you become connected. That's the shtar. And then the Mishnah says, Bia. Bia is the ultimate connection with the Eibishter, V'dalag v'ishte v'hoyel v'basar echad, where the person is not thinking about any benefits. At that point, there's no kesef involved, there's no shtar. So it begins with kesef, and then you go to a level higher, which shtar, and then the ultimate connection is Bia, when a person just becomes one with the Eibishter and he realizes it's not about me. It's not about what I'm gaining out of this. I'm here in the world to serve the Eibishter. Ani loy nevresi, elo l'sham kaini. So you see here, the beginning of the Masechta and the end of the Masechta are talking about the same inyan of a person taking Torah and playing.
Rebbe says it was nicker from his questions and from the discussion that he did not know what day it was and what time it was and where he was. And that was the beginning of, the Friedrich Rebbe attributes that time of his Beinunus to the beginning of Hemshech Ein Beis. That's where the seeds were planted, the Inyanim that the Rebbe Rashab was reingelegt. I'm mentioning this not only as part of the Farbringen of the Rebbe Rashab, but also as a word to each and every one of us. We're Zoicha that all the Magidei Shiurim that are with us here also give a shiur in Kav Chumtin. Kav Chumtin is a type of, it's a type of salt or a type of salty earth that in the time of the Mishnah, at the time of the Gemara, they would put into the grain so it shouldn't, so teloim, so ants, worms shouldn't get it. And we know that the limud HaTorah, seken krichna verimel, if we don't have the kav chumtin of pnimius HaTorah. And what we see from this story, and the Rebbe Rashab, miano, mano, how do we fit into this picture? But when we're talking on Chaf Mar Cheshvan, the day of the Rebbe Rashab's Mazale Goiver, each and every one of us has the ability to sich hereinlegen und sich aufheben. What the story tells us practically is that when a chassid sits down to learn Pnimis HaTorah, and the little bit that elevates him, so his nigla the Torah is a different nigla the Torah, he remembers the nois in HaTorah. It says that the Churban Bayis was only ala shaloi birchu b'Torah tchila. And what's explained is what's pshat. They didn't say birchus HaTorah. It says halavai oisi azus terasi shamaru. They learned Torah. The word is shloi birchu b'Torah tchila. They didn't recognize it as the Eibishter's Torah. And that's what the Kav Chumtin does, the Pnimius HaTorah. So on the day of the Rebbe Rashab, it's a day that we need to remember as Medarfen Stein Hecher. And I'm mentioning this also in the context of what Reb Fischl mentioned, that each and every one of us has the schus to guard Eretz HaKodesh with our limud HaTorah. And chelik yechelik yechelu. Each one of us is hifkadati shoimrim. You can't leave your post. Each and every one of us, it's not just a nice thing we contribute from our time, which is in Yamim Kittikunum. When Sebrenta fire, each and every one of us, his dedication to Torah, and that's what we're celebrating. It's not, I was just for bringing today with a group of kids, and I was telling them, that they stand by the border, and they give the soldiers, they're throwing at them candies, and they're making barbecues. Why? Because the second they go into Gaza, they go into war, the battlefield. They're eating. It's called manot krav. They're eating these little cans of tuna, and that keeps them going for hours. There's no sodas for them. They're eating this for days on end. The sardines and packed food. And by giving them candies, they don't think they're going into a picnic. What we tell them is it's taka tremendous achrayis. But we want you to celebrate, because with morale you're going to be matzliach. And al derech zeh, each and every one of us, together with the tremendous dedication to Torah and the tremendous shlichus, we need to have simcha. We need to celebrate, and that's why our simcha now is with Yerushalayim al Rosh Simchasi. It's still a simcha, tremendous simcha. We know what's going on in Eretz HaKodesh, and our simcha, our celebrating, is the morale with which we're taking into the next Masechta. Befrat if we have this tnu of the Rebbe Rashab, Tzustein Hecher. So l'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. It's an opportunity to wish each other Bride Zitzen Zusammen. We're celebrating. It's a simcha of all of us that learned this Masechta together, and also those that learned the Sefer Karbanis together in Rambam. The Rebbe's Takana Shloisha Prakim now completed. Let's say l'chaim to each other and bench each other. Me'umka deliba, that we should continue our battle and help our soldiers at the front lines, and us recognizing that we're in the front lines, and continue our dedication to simcha v'tuv levav, and us and them, mitoch brius nechayna, harchavas adas, till the simcha mitzvahs. L'chaim, l'chaim. Okay, we're going to hear again from the Messiah and from Reb Shloimi. Please take it away.
Chaim de Vracha. So Rabbi Oster mentioned, beautifully explained, and Chazer the Rebbe's Hadran, about how we have to make our life Teda, how we have to make and realize that it's only through Teda that a person can feel content, a person can feel at ease. Teda brings Hatzlacha in a business, Hatzlacha in your family. And Bashkocha Pratis, as Rabbi Yuzevis mentioned, that we're holding Ota to Chof Av, to Chof Cheshvan, Chof Mar Cheshvan. Chof Mar Cheshvan is the Rebbe Rashab's birthday. The Rebbe brings in Hayom Yom, it's brought down in many places. We know this from the Frierdiker Rebbe, that when the Rebbe Rashab was 4 or 5 years old, he came into his grandfather, the Tzemach Tzedek, to receive a bracha for his birthday. And he was crying. He was crying very bitterly. And he asked the Tzemach Tzedek, he asked his grandfather, why is it, this week's Parsha, Vayera Elav Hashem, that the Eibishter appeared to Avram. Why did the Eibishter appear to Avram and not to me? And the Tzemach Tzedek answered the Rebbe Rashab that a Yid, a Tzadik, in 99 Jahr, was hat machlich given, as wird mol sein, as royal, as zu werden, as the Eibishter zon, that the Eibishter should come to him, that a Tzadik, who's 99 years old, he deserves that the Eibishter, who has Mesiras Nefesh, to give himself a bris, he deserves that the Eibishter should come to him. The Rebbe takes his story, it's Sichen Chelik Tezvav, Sichen Chelik Chof, and the Rebbe dissects the story, and it says that the fact that we know this story, and the Frierdiker Rebbe told us this story, it's not only trying to boast about how great the Rebbe Rashab was, that everybody knows that he was a tzaddik, he was born a tzaddik, Kodesh Mibeten, a Rebbe is born a Rebbe. So why is the Frierdiker Rebbe telling us this story? And let's be honest, is it really shaykh for a 4 or 5 year old to have this love, to have this burning b'chia to receive the Eibishter, to greet the Eibishter? As Rabbi Oster mentioned before, the Rambam writes that by a child, you give a child a geizim, you give the child different candies, different sweets, in order to incentivize that this child, that he should learn, he should be inspired to do Torah mitzvahs. The Gemara writes as well that there's a shita in the Gemara that a child that's less than 6, don't get him involved so much in Torah. But after he's 6 years old, the Gemara says you should stuff him up ketura, you should stuff him up like an ox. Yet this story, and like the Rebbe's Medayik, the Rebbe Rashab was 4 or 5 years old. What does this tell us? That the Rebbe Rashab wasn't even at the age of chinuch that he can have a true appreciation for Torah. We find that before Matan Torah, Chassidus brings down that the connection that a Yid has with the Eibishter was based on his own connection. And as much as connection, as much as he worked on himself to reach the Sheidish HaNivroim, that's what he was able to attain. Mashiach after Matan Torah, a Yid's connection is not so much based on his Avodah, it's connected the way the Eibishter told him to have the connection. That's why we find that a child, you can have a child who's much more mature. Many times you have a 10-year-old child who's a lot more mature than a 15-year-old child. Yet this 10-year-old child is not mechuyev in mitzvahs. So we find that after Matan Torah, the Eibishter gave certain ways, certain medidas of how things should be. What's the chiddush of this story? What the Rebbe Rashab, through the Frierdiker Rebbe, is telling us is that this child, the Rebbe Rashab, who was 4 or 5 years old, he wasn't even at the age of chinuch to learn like Sofek Ketura, that you should stuff him up like an ox in Torah. And the hero is that it's not only a hero to tell us how great the Rebbe Rashab was. It's the Rebbe Rashab, the Frierdiker Rebbe, is telling us a new tziner in chinuch. The Rebbe Rashab opened up a new channel in chinuch that you could really imbue and instill in your child this love of Torah, this love of Elikus. And it's Bashkacha Pratas, like I said, the end of the Masechta speaks about the power of chinuch, how you have to teach a child, Eini Melamedes B'nei Torah, and we see the Rebbe Rashab, which is that this, a lot of times, and like the Rebbe writes over there, people say, oh, my kid, he's very apathetic. He has no, I speak to him about Rebbe, I speak to him about Chassidus, I speak to him about Torah, he doesn't connect. So where do we start? We start blaming the schools, we start blaming his friends, we blame everybody besides ourselves, us the parents. So the Rebbe in the Sikha, you should know that if a child does not feel a connection to Getlichkeit, he doesn't feel a connection to Yiddishkeit, it's all on the parents. And it weist ois that it wasn't Dvarim HaYetzim in Alev. Monday night, or I should say Monday morning, we have a shir in the morning. We give a shir in Chassidus here in the morning. Am Zeicha, we have Baruch Hashem a beautiful crowd. Many are here, many come in the morning, they're not here tonight, but we have a beautiful, beautiful shir Chassidus in the morning, which is run by, we broadcast it live, thanks to Avi and his son, who wake up every morning to make sure that we have a professional recording, Avi Boaz and Shaiki. And in the middle of the shir, I noticed that Avi ran in the middle of the shir like an emergency happened. Okay, I know Avi's involved in many things now. He's helping, he's always chesed. I didn't make much of it. I come home, and I get a few missed calls from a big askan in the community here. I knew something's up, what's going on. I give a call, he says, you heard what happened? I said, no. He says, you know your good friend Leib Skablo? Yeah, it's what you think. And he hangs up the phone. Of course, like everybody, you know, we're all in shock. Leib was a personality in the shul over here. His chesed was unparalleled. His love for another person. The word no was never in his dictionary. And I'm not here, Chabad, we don't give a spadim. I'm not here to give a hesped about him. He'd be very upset if I do. But I want to just bring out one nakuda. We're speaking about how parents have to instill chinuch in their child. We learn from the story of the Rebbe Rashab that it's shaykh that even a 4 or 5-year-old, yes, you're a 4 or 5-year-old if you do it right and you give him the love and the passion of Torah and Chassidishkeit, he is shaykh to feel it in a real emistik oifen. We started the shir and we started the Gemara shir when it came to Masechta Seita. Of course, the Rebbe brings down Hayem Yom. It's an Indian to learn Masechta Seita during Sfir Saimer. And I made on Shabbos, I was poking fun at Leib. I said, no, Leib, you're going to come to the shir? Yeah, I'll be there. I said, okay, anechtik in tag v'mizakt. Yeah, he's going to come to the shir. We started shir in Seita. First day, he comes. He asked me if I can buy him, I was giving out the English Gemaras. I should buy him a Gemara and his son a Gemara. Fine. He comes the first day. Very nice. And everybody gets excited the first day. He came every single night. He came, he sat in the back over here. Many can attest. He came with his son Zalman. And he came to learn. I didn't test him if he understood everything we learned. I didn't ask him if he enjoyed the shir. He came and he learned and he sat for 45 minutes listening to the shir. And he told me, in one of the days, he told me after the shir, I said, Leib, wow, it's amazing. You come, your son comes. He says, it's important for me that when I demand from my kids should see that I'm doing that as well. I want my son to learn. I want my son to enjoy Gemara. He's in his yeshiva years. I don't want him to waste his time. So I could tell him, go learn, chastise him, give him musar. But kids these days are very, very sensitive. Not sensitive at what you tell them, they get offended. Sensitive in a way that kids know the emes. You can't bluff sich. It's like a parent who talks the whole davening and then screams at his kid, don't, why are you talking? You can't fool kids these days. Everything else is off. And Leib told me that it's important that if I want my kids to have a love, to be successful in yeshiva, I have to myself start learning. And he completed the entire Seita, which you might think, what's the big deal? But this was a big deal for someone who was not accustomed to learning every day. He came to the Siyum. We made a beautiful Siyum, if you remember, a few months ago. And I said, he didn't know if he's going to stay the whole time. He ended up staying the entire time. And then by the Siyum, I went over to him. I said, Leib, so we're on for the next Masechta? Yeah. I bought him the next Masechta. And he learned till the summertime when his health started getting worse. He learned even when I was not here physically giving a shir present, he would listen to the shir. He would write to me, I listened to the shir, this recording, you didn't explain it well. He would give different ha'adas. And if there's one thing we could take tonight, to such an individual, and the Siyum is Lilu Nishmasei, I think we need to start taking this like Rabbi Oster spoke so beautifully, this inyan of Pashit showing our kids the Limud HaTorah means something. This excuse of, I don't have time, I'm not here to compare myself to anybody, but I'm also in the working force. I also have businesses. I also have children. I also have every single, we all have things that we go through. But when something is important to you, you'll make time for it. You ever go on your iPhone and go through screen time, how much time you're wasting a day on your phone? You ever go through on your WhatsApp and look how much time you're wasting? Kids pick that up. So if there's one thing that I can impart for those who are here, those who are listening live, let's be a Leib. Let's do something in his honor. Like Rabbi Oster said, bring somebody else to the shir. We started the site this year. We had 35 people here. I come now. In the morning we have a beautiful shir. People give up very quickly. It's not an Indian. We learn Daf Yomi. We don't learn Daf Yomi. The Seder is, we're learning now. We're doing what Klal Yisrael is doing. There's nothing wrong with that. But get involved. If the shir at night doesn't work for you, there's hundreds of shiurim. The shiurim. Literally speak to Rabbi Rotman, who's here tonight. We did the Siyum together. Yirgun Taylor, there's 25 shurim going on in Crown Heights. You have shurim online. You have beautiful shurim from Rabbi Jacobson and Chassidus. You have any style you want, there is. There's no excuse these days not to learn. There's no excuse not to show your child. It's not fear to your children. The Rebbe Rashab cried at 4 or 5 years old. What did the Rebbe say? He was Peseach as a tziner. That every child can reach this level. And it's our responsibility as parents to make sure that our kids get that experience. That's what the Rebbe Rashab's story, that's what the story is all about. The Rebbe says the end of the Sikha, the Rebbe brings a story there that there was a tailor that came into the house, and the Rebbe Rashab, not Lefituma, didn't realize, and he embarrassed the tailor, and his mother told him off. And then when he came into his father, the Rebbe Marash tells the Rebbe Marash, what do I do? How do I get a tikkun for embarrassing? He didn't want to tell him the whole story. Later they asked, why are you not saying the story? He says, it's already enough that I embarrassed somebody. Why should I speak Lashon Hara? You see the sensitivity. The Rebbe Rasha was 4 years old. And like the Rebbe says, he's not saying the story, to boast. Sometimes you have my child's a prodigy, a genius. Yeah, I'm not shaykh for it. My kid is not a genius like the prodigy. No, the Rebbe says, this story is that every single child is shaykh to reach to this level. It's on us parents to give us that level, give us that experience. So I wanna really, from like the same I want to encourage, and I'm not talking. I Baruch Hashem come from both worlds. I come from the working world. I come from the Torah world. I know what both is. I know what it means to be in the Torah world. I know what it means to be in the business world. And I can tell you, doesn't matter how much millions, hundreds of millions of dollars you're going to make. There is nothing like Limud HaTorah. There's no experience. You want to change a house. You want to have a beautiful Shabbos meal. Say a Dvar Torah by the meal. Sing Zmiris. Get your kids involved. When you're involved, you don't have to preach to your kid. Kids do what the parents see. They see a kid, the parents learning Torah takes serious, chances are your kid will follow you. The parents are involved in shtusim, you're involved in lashon hara, you're involved in all the politics of the world, which they're not listening to your opinion anyway, like the Rebbe said by Fabringen, there's no point of talking politics. Then that's where your kids see what you do. Before I call up the next speaker, I just want to give al Tzakaras Hatev the. First of all, my chavrus is here, Mendel Perlstein, who we started Shas together from Brachas, and we're still together, and he helps that I could prepare the shir and have a clarity. So thank you very much for being here and always giving your chizuk, and chizuk to Reb Aaron, who's there, Aaron Schfutz every night is there. We learn together, and let's get back into it. It's hard, I get it, but let's do it for our kids. First of all, you'll feel good. Yes, it's like going on a diet in the beginning. It's hard in the beginning, but when you get used to it, you will feel good. You'll feel like a mensch. I want to give a good big shekayach again to Avi and Shaiki for streaming the shirim, and to Yo Sufrin, who comes every night. Every night, there's a kid in 6th grade. When I was in 6th grade, I was playing basketball after school. I wasn't streaming shirim, and I wasn't learning with my father. Honestly, I used to play basketball after school. This kid comes every night, sets up the shiurim, and he's excited. He's excited. We started this year, every year we're Moisef and a shir. We started a shir in Chumash Rashi. If your Gemara shir doesn't talk to you, which I get, it's on a different level. If the Teda Lakut Sicha shir that I give doesn't talk to you, that's fine. Chumash Rashi does talk to you. The Rebbe says that every person, by the Yom Kippur war, you want to save the Chayalim, learn Chitas. And if my shurim don't talk, that's fine. I'm not offended. There's plenty of very good Maggid shurim out there, better than myself, who will talk to you, but at least get involved. And when you're involved, you'll feel like a mensch, and Mitzvah Hashem, that will have a ripple effect on your household, on your friends, on everybody. So l'chaim, biggest shekayach to Rabbi Rotban as well for putting this together and pushing, and everyone for coming. I know, we're in a very, very challenging time now. Our hearts, our minds are in Eretz Yisrael. I remember even when Rabbi Rotman called me, you want to make a siyum, I was so not in the mood. Yeah, I give a share every night. I put in hours to prepare. Eretz Yisrael, the Rebbe wants simcha. The Rebbe wants us now, we should celebrate. It's a siyum of Teda. It's a siyum. We have to be excited of what we do. If we're not excited what we do, if we're not belepnished, so what are we doing over here? So, mit agresa COVID, I want to, before I call up the next speaker, so I have my son over here, Menachem. He's 9 years old. He's in 4th grade. And he made a achlata last year, or he started in 2nd grade, that he wants to learn the entire Shishi Sid, the Mishnah, before his bar mitzvah. That's what he does. So, unfortunately, I can't. Some nights I can't do it. Some days I'm out of town. But you have to get a proper teacher to teach him. So, hired Rabbi Merazov, who's a Maggid Shir in Olateda. He learns with my son every night. They come to the Kollel here. And they learn Mishnayos. They went through many Masechtas now. And today, Bashkacha Brothers says, so what's in plan? He called me up, and he says that I finished Masechta Beitzah today. I said, great, you're going to make a siyum here. So, Menachem, come, make a siyum, and then we'll continue with the program. Okay, end of pizza.
Misha Zimen Eslay Archin, someone that invites guests on Yom Tif Layelchu Biyada Mainais. You should not take food to place to place. Ella Imkain Zika Lahem Manasai Erev Yom Tif. Whether only if you got your portion on Erev Yom Tif. In Mashkin, you should not give to drink V'shaychatin and then Shecht Esa Di Barias, any wild animal. Aval Mashkin, but you're allowed to give to drink V'shaychatin and Shecht Es Habayasais, any house animal. Eluhin Bayasais, what means house animal? Halanais Ba'ir, that sleeps in the city. Midbarias, what means wild animals? Halanais Ba'afar, that sleep in swamps. Slick Meseches Kidushin.
Shkoyach. Okay, so we'll get some music here, and we have Rabbi Jacobson just came in now, and Levi, you're gonna serve the main course now. Okay, Chevra, enjoy l'chaim, l'chaim.
Important announcement, those that are heading out, there's Gemara Ois V'Hadar for you to take. Reb Shlomi is also going to sponsor. Everyone should stay, obviously. And there's Gemara Ois V'Hadar, and Reb Shlomi Bezos Hashem is committing to those that commit to get an art scroll as well. Yeshua Koyach.